Welcome to the REmarketing Podcast. My name is Jerome Lewis. I am your host for today. The REmarketing Podcast is a podcast where we talk marketing, tech, business, and leadership. We talk these things for real estate agents, real estate investors, and real estate entrepreneurs. The REmarketing Podcast has two purposes. Purpose number one, Moussa, to spotlight you, your business, your service, or product in a way that provides value to you, including market exposure and content creation. Purpose number two, to educate and inform our listeners. With that, we have a very special guest, Moussa Lamah, and he's going to do a quick intro about himself and what he does. We have another real estate entrepreneur. Moussa, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself.
Sweet. Thank you, Jerome. Yeah, as you said, my name is Moussa. I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams, Philadelphia. It's right over on 16th and Walnut. So I actually just am starting out a new team right now. It's called the Lamah Group out of that office. It's been about a month, so work in progress. I've been in the business for about, say, 6 years now. So
6 years.
just trying to, I guess, take what I learned and hopefully teach it to the next generation, or I'm in the same generation, but hopefully teach it to the next couple of newer agents, what I learned, and kind of help them go and see if they can get to where I'm at and take it from there.
Okay, and you mentioned like generation. What generation are you part of?
Millennial, I would assume.
Millennial? Okay. Yeah, me too. So next generation after us, I think is Gen Z. So teaching that next generation, but you meant generation of agents, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, somebody that's just getting in the business.
Okay.
Kind of like the way I did when I first started, but I want to help them,
Okay. And with that, right? So this business is, right? I find that a lot of people think this business is easy, but in my experience, this business is not easy, right? It takes some true perseverance, some true tenacity. With that, I ask you, could you share, like, for a next generation agent, right? Like, share one piece of advice for them that they could use that will help them in their business.
Honestly, as you said, just persevere. Like, it does get tough. It's not easy, but the more you do it, the easier it gets because the more you learn. That's kind of where I'm at with that.
And what would you say is, over your career, like in this space, right, the real estate space, tell us one of the toughest things that you have dealt with and learned.
Oh man, it's I guess how to judge people better, read
Okay.
people. I would say not judge them, but I went into it not really knowing anything about the business world, right? So it was all a learning process, and I wouldn't say I was a little too trusting, but I listened to everybody. I took everybody's advice, but as you go along, you just kind of learn to read people better, like who's actually there, who's not, and who has the right advice, who doesn't. It's kind of like that.
Okay, so in my experience, right, I have that's probably one of my biggest weaknesses that I still struggle with, is I'm very judgmental, but sometimes I will ignore my preconceived judgments
Right.
and give someone a chance. Do you have any insight or input on, or some tips on how people can like judge better based on your experience?
Honestly, I do the same thing. Time and time again, even though I say don't do it, I still do it. But honestly, it's just try your hardest to not ignore those signs, because everybody just kind of gives off those signs, you know what I mean? But just pay close attention to it and listen carefully to everything that everyone says, and then the way they act. That's what I've learned. It helped me in a way. Then again, I still give chances. I still, you know what I mean? I'm just like you, but trying to be a little bit more like, I listen to what they say and then I watch their actions and see if it kind of coincides. Is that the word?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
With the team that you're building, you're going to apply like this philosophy that we're talking about today. What would you say? What would you say like the most important thing that you're looking for, like in building out this new team that you're about to establish?
So honestly, it's more of what type of person I guess you're going after. I would really love somebody like me, I guess. Hardworking, dedicated, just kind of go with the flow. Just do your best. If things happen, but just can stay consistent and keep going with it. Obviously don't quit at the first turnaround. I almost quit. I'm not gonna lie. My second year, I believe. So wanna have somebody that doesn't want to quit, somebody that, preaches something and actually acts on it, and just stays very consistent.
What was the thing that made you think about quitting? Like, was there one thing? Was it a bunch of little things? How was that for you?
So it was a bunch of little things and one big thing. So
Okay.
I didn't really start off on a team. I started on my own, and I was kind of learning as I go. But then again, right off in those early years, I've had like my first couple of years were just disasters, right? Everything that possibly could go wrong actually did go wrong, and they did teach me a lot. But then again, the people that I was hoping to learn from weren't actually giving me what I wanted, and I honestly let it kind of become a moment of weakness where I thought, okay, everybody's like this, so why am I even in this business? But then again, I just kind of stuck through with it, and honestly learned that it's not. People are different. Some people are good, some people don't. Some people care about money, some people actually want to help. Just that comes with the territory. People are different, so that's kind of what helped me stay.
In your experience, would you say that most people are, how can I say this? So you said some people were like a certain way, and it seems like some people like didn't really care about helping you, and they were like in it for themselves. Maybe is that
Right.
fair to
So
say?
it's not just real estate. I mean, what I've come to learn, it's in every profession.
Okay.
Not everybody's always out for you, right? A lot of
Okay.
people are for themselves, a lot of people are for you. It just depends. And again, it goes back to reading what they say.
Okay. And so to go back over and to stick to real estate, right? Like you're
Mhm.
starting a new team.
Right.
Would you recommend that if somebody's new that they join a team, that they go solo? What is your recommendation and
Honestly, I
why?
would say start on a team,
Okay.
simply because, well, make sure first that it's a team that has everything in place, right? Like right now, not don't join my team because
Okay.
not everything is in place just yet. My honest one thing that I would say is have everything in place so that, if you need support, if you need guidance, somebody's always there to answer that question for you. If you need any walkthrough, any like transactions or documentation, somebody has that explained out or has the time to kind of walk you through that process. Because again, you don't want to start off solo and then ask a million different people a million different questions. So having that, I guess, the support and the leadership there really does go a long way. And
Okay.
also keep in mind, like if you're starting in a business with no leads, obviously a team will help you with that as well.
Okay. And so you mentioned like three things, right? Which I understand because I'm a like real estate myself. But you
Right.
mentioned support,
Hmm.
you mentioned leadership, and then you mentioned like lead generation. Are
Right.
there are there other things that need to be in place? Because you said make sure everything is in place. Would do you is it safe to say that if you have those three things, you'll make it on a team, or are there other things that you absolutely need to be successful on a team?
Um, I would say obviously the support is number one. Like
Support.
having, somebody to help with transactions is great. Having, an admin or somebody that understands, the real estate business in case your team lead or whoever is right above you is busy at that certain time. Just having that backup or having like, some sort of resource around just to help you if you can't get an answer right away if you need it. Um, but I think like those are the main,
Okay.
most important things. And also like of course the top thing to look at is this person going to actually support me the way that they do or
Okay.
say they do?
All right, so I'm going to refer to the questions. We have a few questions here. First question that I have for you: what's the biggest challenge you're facing in your current role, and how are you tackling that problem?
Um, my current role is building a team. This is sort of the first time I'm ever doing something like this. So I'm actually trying to go from somebody that was on a team, to somebody that's leading a team. So how I'm tackling it, honestly, is I'm trying to read a lot about leadership for one.
Okay.
Trying to actually stay consistent. If I say something, try to act on it, and don't really, go against my word. If I just say that, and really systems wise too, like because I've never used the majority of the systems that I'm working on building now. So
Mhm.
learning that as I go, which is why I say like if you're looking to join a team, my team is not the one for you, not just yet, because I'm still trying to make it to where it's good enough to at least be able to support other agents.
Okay. And would you say that your team, like what you're trying to do is you're trying to build a plug and play. You build a system,
Right.
somebody wants to do business, you're just going to plug them in and they're going to have success. Is that
Right.
fair to say? Okay.
Pretty much. Yeah.
If a person is not like, if a person is like more of a more ambitious go getter, they don't really need all that structure, would you then recommend that they join your team? Or
If somebody would
still
love
go?
that, yeah, absolutely. Because like me, I live on my phone, so obviously, if you're a go-getter and you need anything, you could just call or text me almost any time or day. As long as I'm not sleeping, I'll get back to you within a matter of minutes. So if you're like that and you actually don't need that type of support, sure, absolutely, I'm more than happy to help.
Okay, awesome, awesome. I'm like that. That's the kind of person I am. Like, look, I would like a system, but systems aren't
Exactly.
always perfect. So let's get something. Let's go. So,
That's exactly how I first started. I had no idea what I was doing when I got in, but I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll figure it out, and then just
yeah,
go around asking questions and just make it happen.
exactly. You gotta. Sometimes you need those people that make it happen, but sometimes you need those people that
Right.
you need to get them systems and those structure in place because
Right.
not everybody can be like like you, like me. Like just go get it. I'm gonna figure it out regardless. Some people
Right.
need like the actual structure, those
Right.
actual systems.
So that's the goal of why I'm trying to build it the way it is, because it kind of supports both parties like right off the
Yes.
bat.
Next question. What is the most important lesson you've learned over your career?
I think I answered that earlier. Just the fact that you'd be able to read people better. That's all.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Next question. What's same answer? At
Yeah.
what time of day do you get your best work done?
Um, I'm a morning person, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So for me, it's between like 8 to 10, 11, 12 o'clock is really what I do most of my work. So after that,
Okay.
it's just like if I have appointments, if I have meetings, get it done. But for me to actually sit and focus, it'll probably be between like 8 and 12.
Okay. And what is your your real estate schedule like when you're getting this work done? Is it like structured a certain way? Do you handle things as they come? What does that look like?
No, so it's actually structured from up until 12 o'clock, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, again, I'm a morning person, so I'm up, I go to the gym, I come back, shower, go to work in the office between like maybe 8:30 to 9, 8:30, depending on, how long I take at the gym or how I'm feeling in the morning, if I even feel like waking up at all, you know what I mean? Um, but mostly it is going to be just in the office on my computer doing everything that I need to do for that day. And then after 12:30, just basically whatever comes up if I don't have any appointments.
What screen do you stare at most? Like I was working with this woman. She was like, I used to be a bank teller, so all I see is like blue. And when I used to work in like IT, all I would see, like, we had this system called I think M-Bills, and all we would see is blue all day. Like, what screen do you look at the most? What website? What is that like?
Oh man, mine would be, I guess, either white or black, because the emails for the most part is black
Emails.
screen, and then the CRM is a white screen, so it's just black and white,
Okay.
and they're right next to each other.
All right. Uh, what occupation other than the one you're in would you like to try?
Man, to be honest with you, I really want to get into investing, like just not even real estate investing per se. Like
Okay.
I'm doing that. I got into that game. I just want to invest in like different things to kind of learn different businesses. But I would like to do personal training. I'm not gonna lie. I love the
I
gym. I've
thought
been
that was going to
lifting.
be your first answer because you're
I
nice cut,
would.
nice fit.
So the thing is, like, I do a little bit of it. Like, I help, friends, I help family, I help, just a bunch of people, even at the gym. Like, I give them what I learned. But I've been lifting for 12 years, but I actually never went and did the training like the process of it. There's a school, I forgot what it's called, online, that you did it and you get a certified license. But I got the program, I paid for it, and just never really went through with it.
So I keep trying to push my brother. I'm like, why don't you start a YouTube channel? Oh, I'm gonna get to it. Start a YouTube. Oh, I'm gonna get to it. Like people are, oh, I'm gonna get to it. And like when you were talking, I was like, maybe you can start a YouTube training series where you
The thing
do
is,
your workout or your routines or something.
I I'm not gonna say I get to it. I just, for me, for some reason, I don't like those types of things. For me, like, I don't like doing
Why?
them. I have no idea. I just never could get into it. Like, I like watching them. Don't get me wrong. I learned a lot. For me, actually go out and do it, I never got into,
Are you
like,
already
even
doing it?
right on this podcast. Absolutely, but I don't
No,
know. It
not
makes no sense.
this. Not this. When you
What am I doing?
so that's one of the things I love about technology,
Right.
especially these days. you can record a lot of it.
Right.
So you're already training people and doing that stuff. It's like, all right, maybe somebody come along and record this, and then you put it somewhere. It becomes a product, right? It could go on YouTube. It could be a product that you sell. It could be the same way you got training for like to get that certification. It could be something like that. You can create your own certification program. So I'm not pushing you, right? And I know, I'll get to it, but that's an option,
No,
right?
I'm
You got
not gonna lie.
technology. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'll get to it. I never really got into it. I never go to the gym to record myself. I used to even like take pictures, right? Your progress pictures, but I
Mhm.
haven't taken a project picture, oh my god,
Progress picture.
progress picture, and I would say about like over 4 or 5 years. Like I haven't even done that. So I just, for some reason, I don't know. I stopped caring about that stuff.
It's monetization. It's extra money.
I never really thought about it that way.
It's
So
extra
guess what?
money. I'm not pushing you, but yeah, it's another income stream.
I'll get to it.
Yeah, especially I saw your Facebook. I looked you up. I see you flashing and doing this stuff.
Right, that
People
was
want
a
to be
couple of
like
years
you.
ago, right?
You
Like
still
the
look pretty good.
thank you, man. I appreciate it. Try hard
Yeah,
enough.
and I wouldn't lie to you. I'm not a liar. I tell it straight. So you look good. All right,
Appreciate it.
next we have some personal questions. I'm going to ask you some personal
Okay.
questions, then I'm going to ask you some closing table questions, and then some bonus questions. So the
Okay.
personal questions: what's your biggest failure, and what did you learn from that experience? So I know some of the stuff we talked about was along those lines, but give us like
Right.
one, and let's make it specific to real estate, like maybe a transaction or maybe a relationship in real estate. Like, what was the biggest failure, and what have you learned from that?
Uh, Honestly, if it pertains to real estate, a lot of my transactions over the past couple of years have had some sort of issues. And it's not really me per se, it's just the things that come up in a real estate transaction, as
Mhm.
I'm sure you know. But one of my biggest failures is letting those types of things just get to my head sometimes.
Okay.
And what I learned is you just have to block it out because it's inevitable, right? Stuff happens, and that's kind of what you're here for as an agent. It's just like, okay, problem came up, fix it. That's just, you don't need to sit here worry about it like, oh my god, why is this, why is that? No, just, it's done. You came up, figure it out. And that's
Yeah,
honestly one of my biggest things.
that's one of the things that I've realized, and I don't think we realize enough that we are agents. An agent is like in the middle of something. So you got
Right.
issues, and you got like things will come up, and you as an agent, you need to conquer or
Right.
defeat those issues. So that's that. I see you got.
Yeah, my relatives came over. I'm sorry.
All right. Tell me the best compliment you've ever gotten.
Oh man. Honestly, I would just say like thank you. And
Thank you.
the reason I say it is, again, a lot of my transactions have had very big problems come up that we were able to solve. And for a fact to get to the table, just having that thank you is pretty big because like you were able to help them through the entire process, and like, oh great, now I own a house where I thought I never would have done that.
Okay.
So that for
Appreciate that.
me, honestly, it just, I don't know, it works for me. I like that.
Okay. So this question is similar, right? You picked the
Yeah.
question though. So if you
Honestly,
could
I
go
forgot
back
what I
and give
picked. I'm
your
not gonna lie.
18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Start sooner.
Start sooner. Start
Yeah.
what sooner?
Everything that you did so far, just
Everything.
started sooner.
Awesome. I like that. I like that. All right. So closing table. No.
Yeah.
We're gonna do value add. How can someone add long-term value to your business?
Honestly, just to help me build something. Because what I'm trying to build is something good, not just for myself, but for others. Again, with this team, I'm trying to build it so that way I'm able to help others, not just for real estate, but also when I learn different things, like investing, for instance. Like I just started this year, so what I learn, I want to help others learn as well. So somebody comes to me and asks me if I want to do this, this, and this, I'll be able to help them. So the biggest value for me is like if somebody can help me build that and kind of work with me and make my life easier so that I can make other people's lives easier, that I think that'll be, huge, a huge help.
When you say investing, like what? Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what did you start investing in?
So I started with real estate investment.
Okay.
I bought a first property. I'm trying to turn into a rental, and I'm actually in the middle of a renovation to sell it. So I'm trying both, and they're actually
Where'd you
right
buy
across
it?
the street from each other. South Philly.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
Where?
right across the street. Fourth and Durford Street. So it's in what the area is called. It's right
What
on
street?
Fourth Street
And what?
and Durford. So it's like where Fourth and Wolf
Okay.
is. It's like right
Yes.
a block away from that.
Okay. Yeah, we used to live like 7th in Oregon, so I know a little bit about the
There
area.
you go. That's not far.
Yep. Um, what's the biggest challenge you're facing with that rehab?
Um, Honestly, I did kind of a hard money process,
Okay.
and it's my first one. I've sold tons of them, but it's my first time actually going through the process. So they really kind of dragged their feet with everything, and they told me a specific way that they want stuff to be done about 2 months after I bought the project. So like now I'm putting my own money to kind of make up the difference, so that way I can make some draws to continue, and just timing really.
What was the ARV on the property?
I believe it was about 3 to 310.
Okay. And I want to ask for the company name, but like, did you have to put a down payment or?
No. So you actually just pay the closing costs.
Okay, so it's 100% funding.
So they do 100% funding up to 75% of the ARV.
So you got it under 75%.
I got it just a little over. I actually put up a little more of my own money, but it was
Okay.
too good of a deal to pass up. And they were actually my old neighbors. So I kind of helped them out and they helped me out and it worked out.
It's unwarranted advice, but that part, like of this, our entire conversation, that part right there where you shared all of that was very valuable. And thankfully, we have it recorded like here on the podcast. But
Yeah.
something you should consider and think about, like to help build your team and make things better, is to, and this is like me adding some value to you in a way.
I
I
appreciate
have
that.
like a ton of groups and networks and resources to kind of recommend to you, but that's another conversation for another time. But this process that you're going through, this rehab process, whatever you can document about that process and whatever you can tell about that story, do it.
So I actually am. I'm taking
Okay.
pictures, videos. I'm trying to
Okay.
like jot down everything that I'm going through. I got the list from the lender that I need to do it, how to do it,
Okay.
everything that I'm learning. I'm just kind of putting it down, and it is for me just as much as it is for the next person.
Yeah, excellent. Because I realized like I came in as an investor into the agent space,
Right.
and there is a miscommunication between the two. Agents don't understand investors and investors don't understand agents. It's just like two different sides of the business, and there needs to be like a conversation and things need to be had. And it kind of starts with us, you, me, people that are investing but are also agents. We need to
Right.
learn how to communicate. And you're building out a team, and can you imagine if somebody else comes in like me, say I don't know anything about investing, I'm like, hey, I want to buy this property, I'm excited, and I don't know what to do. Well, Musa created this documentary, right? We're just going to call it that for now, about how to
There you
go
go.
through that process.
Right.
And if you work with us, this is the value add that we can add versus some other regular old agent. We've done this before already, right? So that's just just a way to start thinking about like marketing, leveling up your stuff. And that's for
Okay.
the investor, but it also comes into play for the team members that you're training too. Maybe one of them want to flip a property, or maybe they want to work with an investor, or they want to understand how a certain process works. So that's why I'm like big on the technology and the recording stuff, because it's so much value there. When you start talking about that, like the value started coming out. I'm like, okay, all right,
Right.
this is the real thing. And it was value in those things that you said. So I appreciate you sharing that.
No.
And we got two more questions, closing questions. So, what are 3 books you recommend to the audience and why?
3 books. There's actually one that I recommend about negotiation for. It's called Never Split the Difference.
Okay.
Fantastic book, especially if you're new in the business and you don't know how to negotiate. Very helpful. Second one is called Grit, GRIT. Just grit basically tells you to kind of stick through it, no matter what. And the third one is called Ninja Selling.
Okay.
Very, very good book. If you read that, it kind of helps you build a business from scratch. How to do it the right way, how to work. Everybody that build a lead source that way versus having to go out and buy stuff online.
Awesome. Thank you, Musa. So I have one more question for you. Then I'm going to ask you to leave us with a closing statement. So, question: where can listeners find out more about you online?
So I do have all social media. So Facebook, Instagram. I have Twitter that I rarely ever use. I don't know if I could type my handle here anywhere, but it's going to be at Real Estate Llama. So it's at Real
Okay.
Estate and my last name.
Okay. And the final statement I have for you: give us one word you can't explain. Just leave us with one word. Tell us what that word is.
Oh man, I don't even know how to answer that question. One word.
Closing word.
Consistent.
Consistency. Okay. That's good
That's
enough.
honestly
All right.
it.
Yeah, so perfect. I appreciate that, and that's the reason why we ask. Sometimes people will, they'll try to explain themselves, and they get a little long-winded. So consistency, I think, is good enough. Like we know what consistency means. Be
Right.
consistent, right? We can develop and come up with all kind of ideas about that, but consistency, that's perfect. So, Musa, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the podcast. This will probably be up in the next 2 weeks, but it
Okay.
will go live sometime next week. So appreciate
Sweet.
you. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Jerome. Take care,
Talk
man.
to you soon. Yep.
See ya.
Bye bye.